Hey everyone, this is me, Lance Meixer, Undead Viking, here with another video from Gray Fox Games. Before I dive into today's topic, sadly Josh was not able to make it for this one, but I would like you to hit the old like, subscribe, the whole 9 yards, and please leave a comment about something you would love for Josh and I to talk about for a future video. I'd appreciate if you do that. But regardless, today I want to talk about behaviors at a board game table. I want to tell a quick story. And I'm going to be kind of vague about this because I don't want you to like dig around and try to figure out who I'm talking about. Many years ago, I was at a convention and a publisher approached a group of people that I was a part of and said, "Hey, we just published this brand new game. I would love to teach it to you, and I'd love to sit down and play this with you." And we all said, "Yeah, that sounds like a fun time. Let's play that game." And so we sat down, set the game up, went over the rules, teach, and began playing. And it took people a little bit of time, new game, learning it, and what have you. It took a little time, a little bit for them to get into that. But one of the things that was a problem, this is a game that was supposed to last like 90 minutes, right? And it ended up just being this slog of a game that wouldn't end. It was 5 players, and it was a situation where sometimes it would take 10, 15, 20 minutes before people were able to take a turn. And one of the big reasons for that issue was the fact that the publisher, the person that presented the game, was taking forever on their turns and just you know trying to figure out the like, well, if I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do this, then this is going to happen. And walking through, like verbally and and physically walking through the turns and trying to figure out the best possible option. Um, the people at the table were getting exasperated. They're getting bored. They were just wanting the game to be over. And instead of like this 90-minute game, it turned into a 3 hour disaster of a game. Now, if you haven't figured out who I'm talking about me. This is back when I worked for TMG and I wanted a group of friends at a convention that I wanted to play with. I really wanted them to play Belfort. And I really liked that game. I still like that game. But I wanted to do so well. I was highly competitive at that time when I played games. Now I don't really care if I win or lose. I just kind of play a game to have fun with the people. But at that time, I just wanted to win. And I'm not going to say that those people like were upset with me. I've since played games with them in future conventions when I've met up with them, and we laugh about it now. Like I didn't realize that I was annoying people at the time, but now like I learned that like, oh my gosh, it's just like I didn't realize that I was making everybody else uh not enjoy the time. But after somebody cracked a joke at me and I said, hey, let's play a game, they're like, it isn't going to be a 3 hour game of Belfort again, is it? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And then I realized what was going on. So that's a perfect example of not being self-aware. And I do think that most behaviors at a table are people that are not self-aware. Now you're going to run into situations where people are going to be absolute boorish behavior, right? And I'm not going to try to single out anything, but we've all been at a table. Well, maybe not, but most of us have like been at a convention, sat down with people we don't know, and there's something about somebody at that table that is just driving you crazy. That it could be the way they're eating and they're smacking their food. Maybe they need a shower. Maybe it's a situation where like every single time they're on their phone and then they're having a phone conversation while they're trying to play the game, and you're dealing with that, and it obviously is detracting your enjoyment of that moment. So how do I deal with those things? Unless it's a situation where it's like really, really extreme, I just deal with it. I just, and I'll tell you why. Because whatever that person's doing, the way that they're enjoying the game, it's the way that they're going to enjoy the game. And I will sit through it and I will get through it and I'll be fine. And I know I'll be fine. I mean, it's time, and sometimes that kind of stinks. But you're going to get through that process, and then after the game is over, you just kind of have to make a mental note. Maybe I'm just not going to play a game with this person again in the future. And if it's somebody I know, it's something that I'll bring up to them after the fact. Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be eating spaghetti while we're playing Twilight Imperium next time. It's like maybe it wasn't the best idea to take a phone call from your old college roommate while we're in the middle of a game of Reavers of Midgard. That really distracted from everybody else. I'm pretty sure you could have called that guy back some other time. The reason for that is that if you call somebody out for their behavior at the moment, one, the initial reaction for anybody is going to be defensive. They're going to be like, "Hey, what? And then the rest of that game is going to be about that behavior, right? It's going to be that latent feeling about it. Also, you don't speak for everybody else at the table. Maybe the behavior of that person isn't annoying anybody else that's going on. It just, so you calling that person out, everybody else is gonna be like, well, why? What's your big deal? What's your big problem with this? So addressing it after the fact always seems to be usually the best possible situation. And again, this excludes extreme behavior where, like obviously the situation warrants an immediate and decisive reaction and calling out of what's going on. But there you go. I mean, and admittedly, 15 years ago or whatever, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't call this like enlightened or anything like that. But I do think that we need to kind of cultivate a understanding, a patience, and a modicum of grace when it comes to how we're playing. And ultimately, if you're running into these situations a lot, maybe just stick with your friends and family when you play games, because at least then you've got that kind of social contract with them, with people that you've known for years, that will either feel more comfortable calling you out for behavior that maybe isn't appropriate for what's going on, or two, it'll be a situation where they have and you have a great deal of patience because of your familiarity with them. But there you go. I would love to know about a situation where you were playing a game, wherever it was, and somebody had a behavior. Please no names. Don't call anybody out directly, but behavior that just drove you up the wall and how you handled it. And I'd love to hear about those stories. So leave those little comments. And until next time, this is Lance for Gray Fox Games. Take care of yourself.